Okay, everyone, it's time for everyone's fifth favorite custom card reviewer, reviewing custom cards that have been sent in, trying my best to climb in the custom card rankings to one day become maybe the fourth best custom card reviewer. And today we'll be going over a Halloween thing. It's called Of Ghosts. It has ghosts with like pumpkins and shit. So let's get started. First up we have... Oh, I shouldn't say bad words in this. Forget I said the SH word. Pumpler of the Ancient Ruler of Ghosts. Ooh, spooky. It's a high-level synchro monster. That's dark, zombie type, 3,500 attack, 0 defense. Hey, this person knows, zombie conventions. 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. If this card has 1,000 or more attack, you can make it lose 1,000 attack. Banish 1 card your opponent controls. If Castle of Dark Illusions is face up on the field when this card is summoned, draw 2 cards. So, I noticed a few things about this. I was able to read the effect without having to go over it multiple times. That's already a huge plus. So, first up we have, its effect is not once per turn. And it has 3,500 attack, so if you wanted, you could banish 3 of your opponent's cards with this one. And then its attack would just go down to like 500. Or if you banish 1 card, its attack would go down to 2,500, which isn't half bad. You could still beat over stuff that way. Or you can just attack into things. But also, if Castle of Dark Illusions is on the field when this card's summoned, you're going to draw 2 cards. That seems neat. Unless the entire archetype has a way to get this card out quicker, Castle of Dark Illusions is a garbage card. There's no good way to get on the field at the same time as getting this card on the field. Like, in the kind of deck that would try to get this card out, it would have to, be very combo-centric. So their resources would be very scarce. They wouldn't really have the amount of resources to get out Castle of Dark Illusions, but getting rewarded with 2 cards, while also, I don't know, we'll have to read the rest of the cards. Next up we have Pump Shaman, the Shaman of Ghosts. This is cool artwork. I think I've seen people send in stuff before. And I feel like I've seen this artwork before in the past. 1,000 attack, 1,200 defense, zombie, face up of ghost monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, except this card. Oh. Once per turn, if this card has 1,000 or more attack, you can make this monster lose 1,000 attack. Add 1 of ghost card from your deck to your hand. Okay, so this one does have a once per turn on it, and I also am loving how it looks like it has proper problem-solving card text. This is putting this very elevated in my eyes. So, once per turn, it can basically set its attack to 0 in order to search. Alright. It can't special summon itself. This doesn't seem very good. Let's go on to the other cards. The Kingdom of Ghosts. It's a field spell card. Of ghost monsters you control, gain 1,000 attack during your main phase 1. Okay. If an of ghost monster you control has 1,000 or more attack, you can make it lose 1,000 attack, destroy 1 spell or trap card your opponent controls. You can use this effect of the Kingdom of Ghosts once per turn. Okay, so this seems... Here's the thing, the first effect is worded in a way where, your monsters gain 1,000 attack during your main phase 1. So, how does that work exactly? Do they gain a chunk of 1,000 attack in which they could then use during the turn? Is it a continuous effect where just as long as the main phase 1 exists, they gain 1,000 attack? And then as soon as they enter the battle phase, they lose it. So it's just a continuous effect that exists, during the main phase 1. I think it should be worded in a way, because I think that's how it's supposed to work. During the main phase 1, your of ghost monsters have 1,000 more attack. Or gain... I don't know if gain's the right word for it. I think it is. I don't... This might be worded correctly, and I'm just reading it weirdly. So yeah, they just gain an extra 1,000 attack. And I guess that would mean, if they permanent... Here's the thing, though. The cards have to permanently reduce their attack by 1,000 in order to search. or the first one anyway, or the one I was just reading. With this card, they only gain the attack, during the main phase, and as soon as the next phase starts, their attack will just go down to 0. So, this isn't it's a permanent effect, so they would have a temporary 1,000 attack, but then once they enter, the battle phase, they would lose this temporary effect, and then they would still have lost 1,000 attack. So their attack would go down to 0. And then during your next turn, their attack would just go up to 1,000. Unless I'm mistaken. I feel like there's cards that do something similar to this, where they gain attack, and then their attack resets. What I would do with this one is during your main phase, you can have all of your Ghost monsters gain 1,000 attack. Or just your Ghost monsters gain 1,000 attack. Period. It's not that big of a deal considering the archetype reduces their attack and they all have really low attack anyway. This one seems kind of difficult to balance though, because 1,000 attack is a lot from a field spell card. But then again, the field spell card doesn't really do anything else. If it just gave them all 1,000 attack, that's still pretty good. But they can't keep it during the battle phase. Oof. Oof. Also, you can make them lose 1,000 attack to destroy a spell or trap card. That's neat. That's, definitely would give it an out against a Floodgate deck. So, not half bad. Don't want to knock on it. It's definitely a useful effect. It's just, I'm kind of used to field spell cards nowadays being one of the best cards in the deck. So this one seems kind of underwhelming when compared to those, but its effect isn't half bad either. So, next up we have Pump IIzard, the Wizard of Ghosts. Zombie, 1,000 attack, level 2. Hey, 1,000 attack's actually pretty high for level 2. When this card's normal summoned, you can special summon one Ghost monster from your hand. Once per turn, if this card has 1,000 or more attack, you can make this card lose 1,000 attack. Activate the effect of Ghost monsters you control, ignoring its conditions and costs. Okay, so this card special summons an Ghost monster from your hand. Alright, not very good. If it was from, the graveyard or deck, that'd be much better, but whatever. From the hand, at least there's ways to get the other Ghost monsters on the field. So, its second effect is kind of weird. Once per turn, if this card, you can make this card lose 1,000 attack. Activate the effects of an Ghost monster you control, ignoring its conditions and costs. So it's kind of like Diamond Dude, how it can activate the effects of a spell card, ignoring the cost of it. So in that case, what you could do with this card is say, make it lose 1,000 attack, and then activate the effect of an Ghost monster you control. You don't need to say, cost and stuff, or use that effect as if, this card's effect becomes the effect of that card. Because if you're just using the effect, you don't need to pay the cost. Yeah, so basically, I think it would be better worded if you just kind of use Diamond Dude's effect and said, this card's effect can become the effect of another Ghost monster in your side of the field. It gains the effect. I'm pretty sure there's other cards that gain effects of other cards. It's usually kind of muddy when that happens, but there's ways to do it. You don't really need to say ignoring the conditions and costs, but that is appreciated. I know, a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you kind of have to figure these things out on your own. Sometimes it'll ignore cost and condition, but you don't actually know that unless, you just know the card very well. I kind of wish there was more text on Yu-Gi-Oh cards to tell you, hey, you can do this while ignoring the cost. That makes the effect good, instead of just, having to figure it out on your own, or looking it up online. So last up we have Tower of Ghosts. Fiend Tuner, level 3. This card's name is also treated as Castle of Dark Illusions while it's on the deck, field, or the graveyard. While it's in the deck, no. If you control an Ghost monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. That's good. You can only use this card as a synchro material for an Ghost monster. Oh no. So the thing with this card, if its name is treated as Council of Dark Illusion while it's in the deck, you might as well just give it the clause of this card's name is always treated as Castle of Dark Illusions. So it technically doesn't count as an Ghost monster. The way I would fix it is kind of like how some of the Blue Eyes cards do it, where their name is treated as, you know, blankety blank while it's in the field or graveyard or harpy monsters. Because if you just change its name, you know, you'd have to play this over Castle of Dark Illusions. That being said, Castle of Dark Illusions isn't very good anyway, so it's not like you'd want to play it. All it does is it's just like a flip effect monster that increases the attack of monsters on the field. It's really bad. It's a well-known card because it appeared in the anime, and it also has a really weird attack and defense power value. And this card right here, why does it need to be a fiend? You should have just made it a zombie to fit with everything else. You know, that way it could benefit from zombie support. There's lots of really good zombie support. Well, whatever, it's not a big deal. Let's just go on to final thoughts with this deck, or archetype. So the theme of this archetype is they gain effects by reducing their attack. The problem is they don't really have any good swarm capabilities, and the effects they have for reducing their attacks aren't really good enough for how unswarmy this deck is, and I can't really see it being played in a control strategy either. It just seems kind of underpowered for the kinds of things it does, and kind of mediocre in the power scale thing. I don't think this would really fit, you know, a tier 3 strategy. It would just get destroyed. It kind of reminds me of, like, Dragon Maids. A neat little idea, they're just not really strong enough to compete with other tier 3 decks. So that's kind of what it is. But, you know, some positives of it, I was very happy to actually be able to read a lot of the effects. So, with that, that definitely will give it a higher score than if I wasn't able to read any of the effects. And it had proper problem-solving card text most of the time. You know, there are people who are very picky about these kinds of things, and they would look at this and be like, wow, so bad. I don't know. I don't think I'm that picky. I think it's good enough. So, we'll give the Ghost archetype probably a 5 out of 10. They need more swarm potential. They need more interactions with Castle of Dark Illusions besides just the one synchro monster. They need better ways to get out that synchro monster. Maybe, I don't know. Since they are very restricted, I do say to only send in 5 cards. I'm pretty sure they had other ones that probably filled it out. But, you know, from the few cards I've seen, it doesn't seem like a very good deck. Good in the way that it wouldn't be able to compete with other tier 3 decks. Tier 3 decks being like, you know, ABC Buster Dragon. You know, that's the kind of level we're talking about here. So, that being said, if you have any custom cards you want me to review, send them over to my Twitter. I have all that linked down below. There's also a Discord and subreddit full of other people who love to make custom cards. And I want to have a little, like, theme for the next one. The next video I want to make is going to be off a whole bunch of, like, one-off cards that are just really powerful staples. Without being overpowered, of course. Think stuff like Eater of Millions, Dino Wrestler, Pancratops, Evenly Matched, things like that. Just really powerful cards that could be splashed into any deck and would make them better. So, if you have any like those, I'd love to see them be sent into the Twitter. And yeah, until next time.